This would be part 2 of the Dell PowerEdge R710 teardown or tour or exploration. The video that you're about to see is pre-recorded. I'm going to be doing some more voiceovers describing what we're looking at. So here we go. There are 2 risers installed on the motherboard that provide for the ability to install expansion cards. They're labeled Riser 1 and Riser 2, with Riser 1 kind of in the middle of the image that's showing now. Riser 2 a little bit to the right, next to the power supply housing. Here you can see the PCI slots on each of those risers. On the back of the computer, you can see the slot covers for the expansion cards. And I took out the bracket that holds them all in, that blue bracket that's on the table there. And then there's no screws to hold in these covers. These slot covers are the same as any slot cover. It could be held in with screws, but these computers have these blue slide lock clips. I had a little confusion there figuring out which way it's supposed to go in. I don't know why that upper slot on the left side doesn't have a cover in it. I don't recollect ever putting anything in there. Here's how the riser cards come out. It's pulled straight up. Those connectors, those black rectangle barrels that I pointed to, they go onto the chrome pins that you see here on the motherboard. That gives them a very sturdy mount. The shape in the middle is where that blue lever latches onto, and the copper connections are where the electrical grounding connection happens on the back side of the board. Here I'm putting the card back in to show how I slide onto those pins. There's the blue clip that releases the card so I could pull it out. You could see that blue clip move a little bit as I was pushing the card into position. The daughter board that's connected to riser number 1 is the RAID controller card. The cables that are connected on the edge closest to the bottom of the video that you're looking at, those cables are connected at the other end to the hard drive bays. I'm disconnecting the RAID cables. Here you can see the blue button on the side of the controller cable. Here the blue button on the side of the controller cable. When I press that blue button, that copper hook on the side of the edge connector depresses. When I bend that blue lever off to the side, that releases that daughter card, that RAID daughter card, so that I can disconnect it from its socket on the riser number 1. This riser number 1 has the word release on the left side as we're looking at it now. The word release is upside down. It would seem to indicate that it's trying to tell me how to release this riser. And I never did quite figure it out, and I gave up on it. There's an odd looking bracket on the left-hand side of that riser as we're looking at it in the video that just couldn't quite figure out what it was doing or how it operated. I'm sure it's probably simple to do, but I was running out of time and just gave up on it. I worked on trying to get that out quite a bit more than what I'm showing in this video. I edited out a lot of my efforts there because it just wasn't very interesting, but I did try quite a bit to figure out how to take that out. Probably need to watch a YouTube video of somebody else doing it. Or Dell probably has a service manual that I could look up using the service tag number for this computer. This I'm taking the RAID controller card out, disconnect its power cord. There's a little tab to depress in order to disconnect the power cord from the board. And I'll end up just laying it to the side. There's this wire bracket that's holding on that black cover. On the top edge of that black cover, there is a wire hook that's connected over the tab that's on the chip that's underneath this black cover. In order to get this out, I had to pull the chip up out of its electrical socket and then slide the cover and the chip out from under that wire loop that was holding the chip down. EE16, the service manual would be the sensible place to figure out what that is and what its purpose is. The tab at the top of the chip, as you're looking at it, is the tab where that chrome, that wire was holding this chip in place. It snapped out of that black cover, so I could turn it over and show it's on the other side. I see Hynix on the chip. The writing of the chip is right side up, but the writing on the circuit board is upside down right now. See that curved chrome wire about middle of the screen, a little bit above middle. That's what holds that tab that was on the top part of that chip. Holds it in place, and then that wire bracket, that kind of wire spring bracket, holds the whole black top cover over this chip. And the lettering on the motherboard is MASER right under the socket where this chip plugs into. That doesn't mean anything to me. I have not Googled it. That may be a clue as to what this chip does. I'm snapping the chip back into the black plastic cover. Plug it back into the socket. Took me a minute to figure out how to get that in. I got to slip in that tab under the wire, under that chrome wire first before making the electrical connection. Was depressing that wire after the chip is inserted just did not work out. Installing the wire clip. Reinserting the RAID controller card. If I recall correctly, RAID stands for Redundant Array of Inexpensive Drives. These drives aren't really inexpensive by today's standards, but back when RAID was designed or created, I suspect the drives were less expensive than what the alternative choices were at the time. Connecting the cables. Here I'm reinstalling the cover over the RAM memory modules and the CPU air coolers, and then reinserting the fans. These fans are bringing air in from the front of the computer, blowing the air directly over the RAM memory and the CPU coolers, and then the fans that are in the power supplies are exhausting air out the back of the computer. Put the lid back on, and it's only held in place by that slide lock. And that's disassembly and reassembly of a Dell PowerEdge R710 rack mount server. I hope that's been useful. Have a great day. Catch you later. Goodbye.